Hello and welcome to the Gaggle Bobble Challenge, and if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Samuely. With me today, of course, is a co-founder of the Gaggle, Peter Lavelle. So, Peter, Zelensky has now been spending quite a number of days in the United States. So he arrived, I think, last Sunday. Today is Friday, so he's still here, and I don't even know when he's heading home. This hasn't been a particularly auspicious visit. He addressed the United Nations General Assembly, which was fairly sparsely attended. It was hardly a kind of standing room only presentation. And, he met
No,
some.
he's got to really hate the fact that Gaza, Lebanon have just taken over the
They've,
spot.
they've taken
He
over.
really is a bridesmaid this time.
Right. And he went to the White House and presented his plan for victory that we talked about a few days ago. That it hasn't been disclosed, the contents of it, though we have a pretty good idea. What was it? It was basically a kind of Christmas wish list of all the things.
Yeah, just Zelensky's bank account at the end of the day.
Exactly. Um, but the interesting thing about this visit was his apparent
Not so apparent. Not so apparent.
yeah, his insult and fight with Republicans. I mean, as I think you've pointed out, Peter, the Ukraine project has been from start to finish a democratic project. I mean, it was Obama, Newland, who engineered the Maidan coup. It was Biden and the Democrats who moved into post-Maidan Ukraine to take out all the money from Ukraine, make sure that Ukrainians don't enjoy any of that money. Um, and then, of course, all the rest, the stirring up Ukraine, turning Ukraine into this anti-Russia. I mean, all that was engineered by Democrats. Republicans, they went along with it, but it's basically been a democratic project.
Yeah,
So
and the germane sentence there is the Republicans went along with it. Well, fool me once, huh? Okay, I mean, this is just absurd that they're getting upset about it. Keep
Well,
going.
exactly. So what happened is that Zelensky gave an interview to the New Yorker. And you kind of wonder, he spends all this time in the United States. He's always giving these interviews. I mean, whatever magazine, is giving interviews, a photo shoot or whatever. When does he get any work done? But so he gave this interview to the New Yorker, in which he spoke disparagingly about J.D. Vance, who was the Trump's putative vice president. And he even seemed a little dismissive of Trump's plan to bring this war to a speedy conclusion. So that was that. And then he was flown by a courtesy of American taxpayers. He was flown to Pennsylvania, where he was greeted by Governor Josh Shapiro, who was you know obviously in the running, and came very close to getting the VP nod from Harris. And they went to a munitions factory in Pennsylvania, and Zelensky, of course, did his signing the missiles, and of course Shapiro did signing the missiles. This is quite disgusting,
Quite disgusting.
repulsive thing, that you sign a missile, designed in order to kill people. Of course, we know that Nikki Haley did that, and she,
And you know what she wrote?
I think finished them. I think, yeah,
It was finish it, finish them, finish
finish
them.
them. Yeah, I think that's it. That's her mantra, finish them. So he did that, and now the Republicans are a little upset because they think, well, whoa, what's he doing here? He's campaigning for Kamala Harris, and Trump himself, said, well, he wants Kamala Harris to win.
And there is a significant Ukrainian diaspora in Pennsylvania, so none of this is by accident.
That's right. That's right. And the Democrats who made such a song and dance about interference in U.S. presidential elections in 2016, when it was the Ukrainians even then even then, they interfered in that election far more than the Russians did. I mean, and that's documented. It's not like we have to sort of
check out our good friends over at Politico. Okay?
exactly at Politico. And yeah, but even so, that was the Russians who interfered. But now again, you're doing the same thing, and the Republicans now seem very upset about it. And you think, well, duh, what did you expect?
And remember, everyone, Hunter Biden's laptop. It was what he was doing in Ukraine
Exactly.
that made the headlines.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. And he spent many years in Ukraine. This wasn't just to go, oh, he got a gig in 2014. I think he continued there through 2021 or 2022. So it was many years that he actually was in Ukraine. So he made a lot of money on that no-show job at Burisma. So here's the story in this is The Hill, and let me just show you. And so it says here, Zelensky stumbles into partisan battle with Vance remarks Pennsylvania trip. And you say,
I don't think it was a stumble, but anyway.
I do. I mean, to be honest, I mean, I think this is a storm in the teacup because the Republicans, who I think should say, yeah, we need to wash our hands completely of this. This was a Democrat project, forget it.
Like 3 years ago, they should have done this.
Exactly. But they won't. Even however annoyed they are now by this Zelensky, getting involved right before an election. I mean, this is just 1 month out from an election. He's clearly getting himself immersed in that. He says Ukrainian President Zelensky has stumbled into a partisan fray weeks ahead of the presidential election, with Republicans ramping up attacks over his trip to Pennsylvania. And Speaker Mike Johnson called for Zelensky to fire his ambassador to the U.S., Oksana Markarova, for organizing the visit with Democrats to a Keystone State weapons factory, while Representative James Comer, chair of the House Oversight Committee, opened formal investigation into the tour. None of these things is going to amount to anything. This formal investigation will amount to nothing. Zelensky isn't going to fire anybody. Yeah.
Speaker Mike Johnson is upset about this. Fire the ambassador.
Right.
Why don't you cut off the funding if you're angry?
That's right. But on the contrary, he went ahead.
This Mike Johnson is just an incredible buffoon. It's just amazing.
Right. That's right. And exactly. $61 billion. He signed off on that $61 billion package for Ukraine. Didn't have to do it.
You got it, Mike Johnson. You got what you paid for.
That's right. Okay. That's right. And lo and behold, that $61 billion is going to run out quite soon. You're going to have to go ahead and do this again. I mean, $61 billion, that doesn't last a long time. That disappears pretty quickly.
Well, that's what happens when you do it with small bills.
And then Johnson refused to meet Zelensky during the Ukrainian leader's visit this week. Former President Trump said he will meet with Zelensky on Friday. So again,
why?
Exactly why? This week.
Why did you do the debate? Why are you meeting this clown?
Yeah.
This campaign is just one bungle after it.
Yeah,
I just like wash my hands of it. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I mean, just going back to the debates, he agreed to the two debates. He didn't have to. They turned into a disaster for him, as was the Democrats pushed him into this. They knew what they were doing. It was a mess. And now, when he could have actually made a clear statement by not meeting Zelensky, so I'm busy. I've got an election campaign to run. I don't have time.
Why are you meeting this guy?
Yeah.
Why? How is it going to help your campaign? It's only going to hurt your campaign.
It's going to hurt, exactly. Because the voters, the voters of the Republicans are very, very unenthusiastic about Zelensky. And, he even heard this when he was in North Carolina, and he was speaking in North Carolina, and he mentioned the name Zelensky. There was booing. There was booing in the audience at the mention of the name Zelensky. No one was cheering, oh, yeah, he's this great freedom fighter. No, they were booing his name. So these are your voters, and you're going ahead and meeting him.
How is that America first? How is that America first?
How is that exactly? Zelensky came under criticism from Republicans for calling Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, too radical in a New Yorker article because the senator would give up Ukrainian territory to Russia and stop supporting Ukraine in the war. Zelensky also cast doubt on Trump's plan to end the war before he takes office. So again, you're presenting J.D. Vance as being kind of the villain, but Vance was just outlining what we can just settle for now is to bring this war to an end.
Because J.D. Vance is the smart one on the ticket.
Right.
This is a Democrat war. This is a Biden war.
Right.
This is not our war. It's not the American people's war. This is an elite agenda. He's smart.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's something that is so easy to understand. Not the arsenal of democracy and rules-based order. Nobody knows what that stuff is.
Right, okay? Exactly. And the thing is that, we have to give up territory. Okay, so what's the alternative? Just keep the war going for another year, 2 years, 3 years? How many people are going to be killed?
How does it advance American how does it advance American national interest?
Exactly. And then it goes on. Zelensky has yet to respond to the criticism, which is unlikely to help his efforts this week to secure support for his country in the war with Ukraine. But the problem is that they're still going to sign off on it. That's the problem. The Republicans should say, yeah, this is it. We're done with Zelensky. We're not going to sign any, a single dollar. But the only one who has said that has been Marjorie Taylor Greene. Not $1 for Ukraine, but she's just a lonely voice in the Republicans.
And that's why Zelensky's State Department handlers said they're going to give you the money anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter.
That's right. So here, he says, who the hell is Zelensky to be trying to interfere in our election? The arrogance of this guy, said Senator Ted Cruz on Wednesday in his verdict podcast.
Yeah, well, what is Ted Cruz's voting record on all this? I don't have it in front of
me. He has been a stalwart supporter of Ukraine, but Ted Cruz is running for re-election. So he's got an election, in a few weeks. And he knows which way his supporters are tending, and he knows. So that's why he suddenly sounds belligerent. I've had it up to here with Zelensky. Now, please vote for me, and then I'll go and sign off on all the appropriations. And the guy, I gotta say, is an absolute moron for coming to the U.S. 6 weeks before the election and attacking Trump and Vance. No, really, he hasn't suffered any consequences at all. Trump is going to meet him.
And Ted Cruz, okay, is an absolute moron for coming to the U.S. 6 weeks. No, the Democratic Party did that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Do you think that Zelensky is a free agent here? Are you serious, Ted Cruz? Constitutional lawyer?
You're right. You're absolutely right. They did that. Remember, he could have come and just attended the UN General Assembly meeting, addressed it and gone home. Instead, the Democrats decided to make a party of it. Hey, come to Pennsylvania, come hang out with Governor Josh Shapiro. And then you can meet Biden, and then you can meet Harris, and you can hang out.
You can throw shade at Trump. Ha 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 ha.
That's it.
Exactly how they're playing it. And Trump is a willing participant.
That's right. I can't believe he agreed to meet. Well, I can believe it, but it's just mind-boggling. He agreed to meet Zelensky today. He didn't have to do it, and then he went ahead and did it. And then after the meeting, he'll doubtless say, "Yeah, Zelensky's a great guy. I really, I really like him. I've always got on well with Zelensky." I mean,
Trump is peeling away supporters at a time that he cannot afford to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what's going to happen here is that people that are disappointed in Trump, they're obviously not going to vote for Harris, but they might not vote.
That's always the danger in any election, is that not that you're going to lose supporters, that they're just simply going to sit on their hands. And that's always the case. If they don't, if your voters just don't think much of you, they're just going to sit on their hands. They're not going to vote. And that's why, Republicans have not done well. It's not because, they voted for the Democrats. It's just that they didn't show up. That's what did in Romney, what did in McCain. The Republican voters didn't show up to vote for them. And that's it. And then they lost. Not because anyone wanted to vote for Obama. They just didn't want to vote for the Republicans. Yeah. And that's going to happen again. I think,
it's going to happen again.
Right. Yeah. And then this is just dumb on his part, because if Trump wins, he's got a huge problem that just got bigger. And if Trump, yeah.
I don't understand his logic here.
Right.
This is an interagency consensus issue.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it they did it to him in his first 4 years as president. They're not going to do it again.
Exactly. And remember, he said, well, I really like Zelensky. Remember, Zelensky didn't do anything to help Trump. Trump was impeached over this phone call that he had with Zelensky. It's not like Zelensky actually went into bat for Trump. He just said, well, yeah, I don't know. I was just had this conversation. He could have said, no. There was nothing at all in this conversation, that he tried to get me to dig up dirt on Biden. That was not what we were talking about. He could have said this. He didn't. So Trump owes nothing to Zelensky. And then, he's going to meet him. And if Trump loses, good luck trying to get Republicans to listen to what he has to say if he just behaves like a Democrat campaign activist.
Well, I think it was one of the first podcasts we ever did together, George. And you said, and I think it just is true today as it was then. Even if the Republicans win, the Democrats control the agenda.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. So when he says, oh, good luck trying to get Republicans to listen to what he has to say, yeah, they will. Republicans will do it. The Democrats, 100% of them will support Zelensky. So, enough of them will support, and particularly in the Senate, because at least in the House, you've got some of these Republicans who are not keen on Zelensky, but even so, they got about half and half in that 61 billion vote. There was half of the Republicans didn't vote for that money. But the Senate, I think pretty much 100% of the Republicans, 98% of the Republicans voted for the package, including Cruz. And a number of Republicans, particularly in the Senate, have supported Ukraine in its war with Russia and signaled they would do so going forward, regardless of the political fight. Yes, that's right. Exactly right.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell, he may not be able to go to the toilet on his own, but he knows how to support Ukraine.
That's right. Senator Lindsey Graham told reporters Thursday that what happened in Pennsylvania was a mistake, but made it clear he would continue to support. It was a mistake. So he came to this country, and then courtesy of taxpayers, he gets flown to Pennsylvania, hangs out with the Democrats, clearly showing his support for the Democrats, and then, it's a mistake, but it's not going to affect how I vote on the appropriation. Of course not. Graham was among the lawmakers who met with Zelensky on Thursday as he visited Capitol Hill. At a meeting with about 20 senators, the issues of Zelensky's Vance comments on Pennsylvania did not come up. Vance comments or Pennsylvania visit did not come up. Well, of course it didn't come up. I mean, why would it come up? I mean, who would bring it up?
Who would bring it up? People like Lindsey Graham? No way.
No, exactly.
But it shows. It shows. Lindsey Graham. He is a snake of a person. Okay, is he supporting his party's ticket? No.
He's a snake. He doesn't care if Trump loses. He'll be quite happy. Good, it's gone. Even though he goes around pretending to be Trump's best friend.
Who knows, everybody? Considering the way Lindsey Graham acts, maybe he'll be Secretary of State for Harris. Okay.
Yeah. Zelensky also met Thursday with President Biden and Vice President Harris at the White House, where he presented a victory plan. a victory plan. Are there many victory plans? You know, like there's a sort of, like the indefinite article suggests that there are many victory plans. Zelensky has not addressed the Pennsylvania and Vance controversies, but said in a press conference after the meeting with Biden and Harris that he was thankful for bipartisan support after his meetings on Capitol Hill.
I bet he was. I bet he was.
And Harris, in her remarks, took a veiled swipe at Trump and Vance, saying, quote, "Some in my country would force Ukraine to give up large parts of its sovereign territory. These proposals are the same as those of Russian President Vladimir Putin. And let us be clear, they are not proposals for peace. Instead, they are proposals for surrender, which is dangerous and unacceptable."
Got to give it to Harris. She can remember her lines. You got to give it to
That's right. That's, you know, she got the lines. And then pressure has been building for days since Zelensky toured the Pennsylvania factory producing the critical 155 millimeter artillery shells. He appeared only alongside Democrats, including the state's governor, Josh Shapiro, and Pennsylvania Democrat Senator Bob Casey, and Representative Matt Cartwright. So just all Democrats. And then Republicans criticized the visit for not including any GOP lawmakers and for using taxpayer funds because Zelensky flew to the state on a C-17 Air Force transport plane.
Oh, that's a lot of very spatial. Very spatial.
There's a lot of...
Take any seat you want.
That's right. But he's crazy. Yeah, there weren't any GOP lawmakers because it was all arranged by the Democrats. I mean, why would there be GOP lawmakers present? But I think, as you pointed out, the GOP are asking for this because they've done all this for Zelensky. Without their having to do this, that this was a Democrat project from start to finish. They didn't have to sign on to it, and now Zelensky just basically gave them the finger and said, "Well, yeah, I'm just going to hang out with Democrats. I mean, it's their project. But you stupidly have gone along with it. Well, you know, why should I waste too much time on Republicans?" So
another Republican cell phone. That's
right, cell phone. In a letter to Zelensky, Johnson said the visit was in a politically contested battleground state, was led by top political surrogates for Kamala Harris, and failed to include a single Republican because on purpose, no Republicans were invited.
Ooh.
And
people are such amateurs.
But I love the thing. He's demanding that Zelensky fire the ambassador. Yeah, right. I'll get right on it. And then the tour was clearly a partisan campaign event designed to help Democrats and is clearly election interference. Yeah. Which the Ukraine does. You know, did it in 2016, did it in 2020, did it again. Yeah, they've done that. And then short-sighted and intentionally political move that should not be repeated and demanded as a resonated. Comer sent letters to the White House.
What does the ambassador have to do with any of this?
I don't get it exactly. I mean, the ambassador just does what the president wants her to do. I mean, she works for the president. I mean, she's not the one who's responsible. It's the Democrats who did this. They arranged this. I don't get what the ambassador has to do with this.
It's kind of like, you know, kicking somebody else's dog. It's like, well, what did the dog do?
Comer sent letters to the White House, Department of Defense, Justice Department, demanding information about the visit. Well, what information? Well, we had a visit. It was a Democrat operation.
And you double-crossed yourself? You want an explanation how you double-crossed yourself? Really?
And said his investigation would get to the bottom of whether there was a misuse of government resources that allowed Zelensky to interfere in the 2024
Oh
presidential.
yeah, they want to know about travel plans. What happened to the 61 billion? What about misuse of government resources?
Exactly, government resources. How much did they spend on? Exactly. I mean, 61 billion. No one knows where the hell that went. But they're going to get to the bottom of a few thousand bucks here. And then at a Wednesday rally in North Carolina, Trump responded to Zelensky with some of his more pointed comments yet. The president of Ukraine is in our country, and he's making little nasty aspersions towards your favorite president, me. Trump said, also hitting Zelensky for what he claimed was the Ukrainian leader refusing to make a deal with Russia. Again, he did that. But again, I mean, that, Trump has, says sensible things, but, you have to kind of act on that. He did say, yes, Zelensky should have taken the deal. He didn't specify which deal, but he should have taken the deal a long time ago.
Yeah, but he also had Speaker Johnson at Mar-a-Lago patting him on the back to
Yeah,
pass
yeah,
$1
yeah.
billion. So I mean, Donald Trump, what are you talking about?
You're absolutely right. Exactly. I mean, if that's what you really think, which
You
is that, hey, should make a deal, then don't give him any more money. I mean, that's the simplest thing. Don't send him another 60 billion. Make clear, no, he's got to make a deal. And then no, yeah, that's it. So that was that's the Zelensky visit, and lo and behold, he will meet Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and we know that he's a fantastic guy. I really like him, and I'm looking forward to working with him when I'm in the Oval Office. And, and that's it. But it still goes back to the point we've said over and over again. This is a Democrat war. Yeah, okay, the Republicans, like Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham, they love all these wars, but Trump and the Trumpians and that American First MAGA agenda, they shouldn't have anything to do with this war. That it should be absolutely front and center with them. That we don't want this war. We want nothing to do with it.
It's really important for our viewers to understand. You have to remember. Let's go back to 2016. What made Trump different is that he didn't support these stupid wars.
Yep.
There's a lot of claptrap and white noise during campaigns, and George and I try to stay away from try to be above the rabble because that most campaigning is that. But that really struck out. A lot of people pointed that out, sorry, but that's what made him different.
Yep.
And he's abandoning that completely.
Yep.
Completely in this cycle. We have to make Israel great again.
Yep.
Zelensky, we're presuming he's a good guy.
Right.
I mean, just your strongest card.
Yep.
You've either already played it, you've lost it, or you refuse to play it. But what gave you an edge, what made you, minutely different,
right,
giving it away.
Yep. No, yeah, that's right. I think this would have been a golden opportunity to reinforce his credentials
because his base loves it.
Exactly. Say, I'm kind of busy. I can't meet Zelensky. I've got too much on my plate. That's it. He could have done that, and I think the base would have been very happy. But by doing this, by meeting with him, he's really suggesting, I know I'm promising this, that, and the other in the election, but once the election is over, if I'm president, I'm just going to continue exactly the same policy. I mean, that's all you're suggesting by meeting Zelensky. I mean,
George,
so therefore,
George, that's probably what's going to happen.
It's probably what's going to happen. I mean, as I said, I mean, if you listen to that speech he gave it in North Carolina, and he mentioned Zelensky's name, there was booing. His people, the people who show up to his rallies, they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to hear, giving him any more money, keeping this war going. They want this war to come to an end. That's his calling card. That's his base.
When Lindsey Graham stands next to him, at least in the past, Lindsey Graham got booed. But who's got Trump's ear? Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
It's just the most self-owned campaign. I can't even. I can't believe it's even reality.
Right.
I mean, I just so many easy misses.
Right.
Are you trying to lose?
I agree. This one you should be, you ought to be able to put this one away comfortably, and by it's just one fiasco after another. So yeah.
And meanwhile, Kamala Harris does her gobbledygook interviews continuous, and she's getting complete cover for it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we asked rhetorically, how long can she get away with not doing a real interview? And I keep saying she's going to get away with it to the very, very end.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, that's right. I mean, she did an interview with some MSNBC person, Stephanie Rule. Again, softball questions, and press her on nothing. Yeah, you can do this. Well, it's not difficult. And then she can have.
Well, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I came across that story this morning. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of George W. Bush's first run in 2000. And I'm trying to remember the journalist that said it. And I remember the phrase. I don't remember who said it. But people were, is George Bush intelligent enough to become president? And his response was, he's smart enough. I mean, he's enough. And so the low
Right.
of lowest bars. And that's what they're saying. Well, I mean, it's not like she can't do the job. It's not like how well you'll do the job. Is it, can you show up at work?
That's
If you
right.
could show up at work,
Yep.
that's it.
Yep.
And that's the campaign that they're running here. Just as Trump is tripping over his own tie almost on a
Right.
daily basis.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's right. I mean, it's an election that Trump should be able to win comfortably. The issues are in his favor, and the fact that he's not able just essentially to put this away, I think is due to. I mean, he's making one mistake after another. I mean, he's not
Well, I don't
exploiting
know,
the
George,
things
maybe,
that work
maybe
for him.
I don't want to hyperventilate here, but it seems to me that this is accelerating. The screw ups are accelerating. Okay. I mean, the worst thing that happened to Donald Trump is that Joe Biden realized he wasn't with us anymore. Okay. And his team should have been able to react to that. They've shown they were caught completely flat footed and
Yep.
just had no idea. Everyone just on this podcast George and I are doing. The Ukraine war is not popular.
No, not at all. So not among his voters.
I mean, how hard is it to screw up this one, Donald
Yeah,
Trump? How hard is it?
exactly. Not only is it not at all popular with his base, with his voters, Americans generally don't like wars. They generally don't like voting for candidates who promise more war. And there's Harris promising more war, and then this would have been an absolute opening for Trump to then to go tonight to a rally and said, I've just had it. I've had it with Ukraine. I didn't bother to talk, today to his Zelensky. I'm going to basically, do what I said I would do. I would bring it to an end immediately after the election, within one day. That's what he says. And then, but instead, by doing this, you're going to continue with the same policy.
See, this is a fundamental shift from 2016. 2020 is a wash because of the alleged pandemic. But how he won in many ways, not just on the issues, but being able to control the narrative, control the news cycle. Well, he's letting the news cycle control him over and over again.
Right.
This time round. Oh, yeah. Zelensky's in there. I got to go meet Zelensky because he's going to get a photo op.
Yeah,
going to be in the news. Well, Donald Trump, you're getting in the news for all the wrong reasons now.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. And he was controlling the news cycles back in 2016.
Oh, I mean, that was like master of the universe stuff.
That's right. He said, hey, I kind of like I kind of like Assad because he's kicking the Islamists or the jihadis asses. I think he said something like that. And then he said, and I like Saddam Hussein because he was giving the Islamists a hard time. That was it. That was a strong statement, and shows he was actually on top of the issues by saying, these people, that the US government is attacking, or under Obama and under Bush, were actually kind of on our side because they hated the jihadis. You know, they were actually killing jihadis. So why exactly are we going after Saddam Hussein? Why are we going after Bashar al-Assad?
Yeah.
So that's it. It was a masterful stroke, and that's what did it for him in 2016. But now, I mean, his message is confusing.
Lost the Midas
Yeah,
touch.
yeah, exactly.
All right, everybody. We talked way too long than we needed to on this one, but we started with, and we're going to end with, this is a Democrat project. Why you want to prop it up and give it oxygen is just completely bewildering to me, particularly since your voters don't like it. But we're actually writing the prehistory of the post-election 2024 right now.
Yeah,
All right.
no, I absolutely right. So it makes no sense on any electoral and political calculation, and that's exactly what you should be doing when you're 4 or 5 weeks out from
Make
election day.
yourself different. How
Yeah.
do you stand out differently? You know, bipartisanship does not win elections, everybody.
No.
After the inauguration, do all your bipartisan nonsense you want. But elections, by definition, are not bipartisan. So why participate in it?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
All right, everybody. This is Galgo. Sorry, I got to calm down here. It's Gaggle with Peter and George. We're on Local, so please go to thegaggle.locals.com. This is Friday. We're going to do a Sunday wrap, and we have our live stream on Monday, and George goes solo on Tuesday.
Exactly. So the tip jar, that's really the real issue of the day. And it's not a happy issue. You know, there's no bipartisanship on that. That's very much an issue dividing the sides. You know, the dogs on one hand, you know, us on the other hand. You know, this is not acceptable, you know, according to the dogs. So if you have a few bob in your pocket, whip them out, dunk them in the tip jar. We're very grateful for all of your help, friendship, and support. The more you're able to donate, the more of these videos we can make. The more we can improve on the technology. And above all, maybe we'll get some bipartisanship one day. So remember, if you like the gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye-bye.